Hi, my name is Bonnie Keene, and I am so excited because I just spent an hour talking to Kim Sorrelle on Love Is. Her podcast is amazing. Check it out. Have a great day and hang on to Jesus.
Welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here. You are going to be so happy you are here. I'm Kim Sorrelle. I'm an author, I'm a speaker. I get to do so many fun things in life, but my favorite thing to do by far is to meet people. And I get to meet some extraordinary, incredible people. And today I have the one and only Bonnie Keene, award-winning singer, songwriter, actress. I don't know what this woman doesn't do. She probably paints and knits and sews. I
No,
don't know,
no,
but she's
no,
so
I'm not.
talented. And so I'm
Oh, thank
so
you.
excited. We're going to talk about a few things today. We're going to start with her story, but we're going to talk about some tough stuff that she's
Yeah,
working on too. So
yeah.
anyway, without further ado, Bonnie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kim. I'm so honored to be on your show. I'm so glad this worked out. I'm in Nashville right now, and half of the city is paralyzed under ice. And so I'm just really grateful that my technology is working and that we can have this time together. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure, my honor for sure. Okay, Bonnie, I really
Yeah.
want people to get to know you. So I would love to hear
Okay.
about 8-year-old Bonnie.
Oh, really? Eight?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I am a Nashville native, so I grew up in a very blue collar family here in Nashville. Went to public schools, but I very early in my life started playing music by ear. My mom said I would hear something on a piece of music, and I'd go over to this little piano and pick it out.
Mm.
So I think very early on, I realized that music was going to be very much a part of my life. And by the time I was eight, my goodness, I was starting to do some theater in my elementary school, and I was writing songs. I actually called myself Julie Rose. I didn't like my name, so I named myself Julie Rose. And I've got these pieces of music I wrote back then that's so funny when I was literally like eight or nine. But I also had a lot of struggles in my family environment. There was a lot of anger and rage and pretty harsh punishment that really made me unsettled as a little child. I'll just tell you that honestly. I had migraine headaches and was throwing up and very much just burdened as a little kid by the time I was six or seven. So I always tell people that really get to know me, and I don't mind sharing this with your audience, that I truly believe God made himself very real to me at a young age through music. It was like he came to me through harmony and structure of music. And that began to be something that I thought, oh, there is something beautiful outside of this turmoil in my house. And I think it's been a lifeline. The Lord has healed me through music in a lot of ways, and He's just continued to call to me as I grew up more, through the Christ and through my faith. But I think God saved me with music early on. Yeah,
Wow. Wow. Well, I'm so sorry, first of all, that you
that's
had to
okay.
go through what
Oh,
you went through. You know, the the best songs I believe are written by people who have been through the ringer. That just the depth that you can bring from this experience, from bad experiences in life, right? It's
I
a
think so
whole
too.
different level. Yeah. And that which is why
Yeah.
you're award winning and so talented and
Oh,
do
thank
such an
you.
incredible job. And but it's like you don't want to wish that on anybody just so they can
No,
write good music, right?
no, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm a big believer that God doesn't waste anything that happens to us if we let Him have it. And it's taken me a lot of years to learn from it. But I'm so grateful all the time for the way the Lord just didn't leave me in that situation without revealing Himself. And
Yeah.
it was tough. And I have a lot of sympathy for a lot of anyone that's grown up with that kind of burden. It's very hard and it's hard to admit it. But I think sometimes I'm also a big believer in just opening a vein and saying, this is what's happened to me. But the bigger story is what God has done with it. So I hope that anybody that hears this or sees this understands my heart is not to be critical, but it was a very difficult way to grow up. But to say, look what God did with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Which I admire so much when people take their darkest times, their hardest things that they
yeah,
go through, and then use it to help other
yeah,
people use it for good. because you might as
Yes.
well not waste it. If you,
Right. Well, and that's how we help each other is if we go, okay, I'm looking at you and I understand what you're talking about. So let's talk about that together. That's some way of redeeming some of that pain too, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And music is so special. Music
Yes.
does so many things that are so
Yes.
good, and healing, absolutely. Music is soothing and healing and I
Challenging and complex. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
yes,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so in high school, were you still like
Yeah.
doing the school play thing?
I studied classical music for 13 years. I began to be really interested in theater in Nashville. And by the time I was 11, I played Alice in Wonderland at Nashville Academy Children's Theater. It was a 6 week run. I was the only child in the production. It was very
Wow.
very well done and very professional. And I learned so much from that director who kind of just took me under his wing and said, okay, I'm going to teach you what theater is. And to work with all these seasoned performers as a little kid was such a master class. And I began to think, I think that's what I want to do for a living. And I thought for a long time that I would go into a musical theater kind of vein for work. But and it's so funny because I mean, God has just been part of every season. But I would snub my nose down at like pop music or go, that's terrible, There's this and there's that. But I thought, well, I got to make money to go to school. I thought I want to study in New York, so I'll sing in clubs. So honestly, Kim, I'm like going to church, this very, conservative, scared kid, and also singing in clubs. So by the time I was 17, I went on the road with different top 40 bands. I was in
Wow.
an all-girl band at one point in New York City. I mean, I've had a whole lot of lives. But through all of that, I learned all kinds of skills from classical music to musical theater to pop music that I think really served me well in First Call, the group that I sang with for so many years and recorded because I could sing any style of music. So I'm kind of a mixture of, I'd put on, I had the LPs, stacked up every day in high school. I'd put on Three Dog Night, and then I'd put on, Sondheim. Then I'd put on some Rachmaninoff. It was just like this one, wherever I could find excellent music, I began to study it
Yeah.
and be fascinated by how God put all that together. So it's really been an interesting hodgepodge. I've never, I can take no credit for it. It's been the Lord the whole time.
Yeah, well, that's so interesting because it is there so often an artist gets stuck in a genre, right? Like
Yeah,
this is it, this is
yeah,
what they sing, and their whole life this is what they sing. So to be able to sing different styles and
yeah,
acting, I mean, you're on stage.
yeah.
There's a performance that's happening. So yeah, I love how all of that just kind of comes together and makes you who you are.
Yeah, I mean, I often tell people it's so wonderful to look back and go, okay, God did this, God did this. I had never been to a Christian concert. I had no idea. I didn't know anything about contemporary Christian music. All I'd ever heard was a cappella hymns, which was great in my church. And I was taught that to sing in a public platform in a church was wrong. So I'd
Mm.
never been to a Christian concert. And then early in my 20s, I lived next door to Amy Grant's managers. And they knew that I was a vocalist, and they said, would you like to go on a tour with this girl named Amy that we're putting on the road? Had never heard of her, never heard any of her songs. So the first Christian concert I was ever at was singing backup for her. And I'm just standing there crying, going, this is unbelievable. You can sing and write about your faith in a contemporary style. That just got me, my mind going. And then once I started to do more solo projects and write books, I would be asked, like you, I'm all the time, to be a speaker at an event. I'd never been to a women's conference. I'd never seen speakers do what they do. So I thought, well, I'll share my story. I'll share the music I have, and then I'll do some interactive theater pieces. So I would put like on the screen, I would put evil twin me, and we'd banter back and forth. I just kind of mixed it all up. And I didn't know what I was doing. I've never really known what I was doing. And God has been so faithful to just take me and move me into another place or into another genre. And I'm just so very grateful because it's very diverse. And I really am grateful to have that background.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
cool. It's so cool. Yeah, well, and I don't know, like I don't meet people like you, Bonnie, that are so diverse musically. I mean, really, it seems more rare than
That's true.
that.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think the great thing about that, and the group that I sang with for almost 30 years, First Calls, three of us, we did a lot of studio work in Nashville when we were singing background vocals for different artists, country artists, contemporary music, Christian artists, jingles, a lot of commercials, you
Mm.
know, and we were singing on all, and it was great because I had a history of different sounds and genres. I was able to do that really quickly in the studio. And so it really has been a wonderful skill set to have, as kind of schizo as it is. It's been really nice to have. Yeah. And then when I write, I mean, I hear the musical theater background in some of it, but I think definitely there's some classical kind of tones, but a lot of contemporary pop music too. So it's kind of a hodgepodge. My new album has a lot of different styles on it, and I love that about it. It's not as commercial as some projects might be, but it's definitely represents me musically.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I've listened to so much of it and it is
oh,
so
good. Thank
good.
you.
Oh my word,
Thank
it's so
you.
good.
Thank you, Kim. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I have a question for you because
Sure.
I always wanted that gift. I wanted to be a singer.
Oh,
Like I just always admired people who could just get up and sing and just lead people in worship, like just
mm,
so beautiful, right? So I always felt
mm,
like it's no ego. It's not performing for
mm,
anyone but God. And I thought that was so cool. So I wanted to be able to
mm.
sing. I found out early in life that that was not my calling. We went to my grandma's, my cousins and I would go to my grandma's. We were staying at my grandma's house and we put on a beauty pageant and we got to the talent portion. You know, I was probably 9 years old or something. Got to the talent portion of it and we took a rug and put it in the living room and that
Oh,
became
that's so
a stage,
fun.
right? Yeah. Yeah. My
Oh,
cousin Mary belted out Amazing Grace and beautifully. And my grandma said, "Oh, Mary, you sing so beautifully." And then my cousin Sherry got up there and sang Paper Roses.
no. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
And my
baby
grandma
roses.
went,
Yeah.
yeah, my grandma went, "Oh, Sherry, you sing so beautifully." I could not wait to hear those words. I got
Ah,
that rug and I sang Trailers for Sailor Rent. And I sang every
trailers for
verse of it. Yeah.
sale. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And when I got done, my grandma said, "Well, Kim, maybe you can dance."
no way.
Yes.
No way.
Yeah. True
Sweet little
story.
Kim's heart. Maybe you could. Oh, my word. But you know what? You probably do have a good voice if you have the ear for it. But that comment, it might have just stuck in your head for a while and you might not have trusted yourself to sing again. I bet you can.
Well,
I bet you can.
nice of you. That's so kind of you to say. But I would sing in the car with my kids when they were little and they would beg me to stop. So I'm
Oh
thinking
my
maybe.
word. Well, but you write books and you speak and you're very prolific in that area. You have a podcast. So everybody has their thing, you know.
Right, right, right. Yeah,
The
yeah.
fact is, I often tell people that say they want to do music for a living that there's a lot of weight that you carry when you do that for anything for a living.
Mm.
And if you really enjoy it, to look at whether maybe it should be more of a hobby or something you do, not to put your full weight down on to make a living, because that's really tough. It
Yeah.
can take some of the fun out of it, but
Well,
it's a
yeah. Well,
challenge.
and
Yeah.
it's got to be pretty up and down too.
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
you've had
Definitely.
so much success in so many different areas of music, but there's got to be moments when, okay, what's going to happen next? Like, what's happening now?
It's yeah. I Ashley Cleveland, who's an amazing artist that I'm sure you know and your audience would know. She said something recently. I was in a session with her, and she said something about how none of us ever know when our paycheck's going to come in. We never know what we're going to make the next month. We never know how we're going to pay our insurance. And when you live that way, when you live freelance, it's terrifying. Except that I've done that for so long. The people that do it for a living kind of just go, we're going to trust God and keep cobbling it together. And some months are better than other months. And, but then I know certain people that don't have a personality for, like, they literally would be stressed to the max if they didn't know what each month was going to be, or at least the next 6 months. But
Mhm.
when you do music for a living, you kind of go, okay, well, there's the next tour, there's the next project, I'm not really sure what happens after that. So it's a bit of a faith journey, and it can be really exhausting sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I bet. I would imagine it can be pretty exhausting. So it's kind of an entrepreneurial heart, really, to be
Yeah.
out on your own and just doing it, which I'm an
Yeah. I think
entrepreneur, so
that,
I understand. I like that.
yeah, I think Marty McCall, the tenor that I sang with for so long, who's one of the most phenomenal vocalists that I've ever heard, he was in a group called Fireworks, which was one of the first Christian,
Mhm.
contemporary Christian acts, and I had never heard of it. But I've often heard him talk about early years in Fireworks. They just got into a van and they just drove to the next coffee house. And then they drove to the next coffee house. They literally just wanted to bring the word of God in their genre to as many people as they could. Their hearts were so, they didn't make any money. Nobody knew who they were. And then CBS, I think, signed them, found them. But then at some point, our industry turned that into a manufacturing ministry as opposed to finding one that was organically there. I think there can be a danger sometimes in going, okay, that group looks commercial or that person looks like a pop, whatever. Does the person really have the heart to really say to the Lord, okay, I'm going to take you at your word and follow you where you lead me. I've done some vocal coaching with some really talented university students that are just phenomenal. And one of them is she can sing anything, any genre, just incredibly gifted. But she doesn't know how she feels about the Lord yet. But she has a lot of pressure for her to sign a record contract. And I'll say to her, because I love her so much, and I'll just say, don't do that until you know where your calling is. God may call you to a secular career. Don't sign on that dotted line unless you know for sure, because it really does require you to, it's not as glamorous as it sometimes looks, and it does require you to really dig into your faith. So she's been cool. She's just kind of laying low and just finding out. She's very young. She's in her 20s, but really gifted. But, it'd be easy for a record label to say, let's just sign her. But should you, you got to know what the vision is inside of you that God has given you first. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
That's my speech.
I like that. It was a good one. Well, and it's so true, figure out if it's for you because I can't imagine that it is an easy life. It looks fun.
No,
And I'm
and
sure,
when
when
you
you're
have
still,
children, yeah,
yeah.
we would take our kids on the road with us, and that was tough. I potty trained my daughter she was 2.5 on a bus, and she's forgiven me for it. But yeah, it looks like one thing, but it does take a lot of humility and a lot of being broken sometimes before the Lord, and especially with a record company, knowing what you feel like God has put in you to say and write and do, in spite of what they might tell you.
Mm.
They're a bank. A record company has got money and but you're the one that God has given the vision or the voice or the writer for yourself. You've got to know what that is in you and protect that, I think, more than anything. I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah. I would imagine most artists learn that the hard way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
You
I
do.
like,
You learn a lot.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, sports contracts, and they promise you the world, and then you get there and you're like, what
Yeah.
is this? I
Well,
mean, it happens all over,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think, and then for pastors, that's a ton of minutes, weight to carry around for your church and the leadership. You've got to really know who you are. And especially when you're on a platform, that's very important to know who
Hmm.
you are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know that you've been called because
Yeah.
maybe it's never not going to ever work out if you're not
Right.
truly called to that. So yeah.
Absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
really good point. Thank you. Yeah.
So okay, so one of the books you wrote, I was listening to, and it was so good, and it was about depression, and
Yeah.
uh, I so admire the fact that you are vulnerable enough to say, "Hey, I went through this." That there are things people go through in life. Sometimes it just stays hidden in people, right? They try to do it alone, and they never
Yeah.
want to talk about it. And
Yeah.
you just put it out there. I just admire that so much.
Thank you, Kim.
So I would love for you to talk
Thank
about
you. Yeah. I wrote 3 books for Harvest House publishers who I love so much. And the first was taken from my journals, which I was like, there's no way I'm going to publish this. But I had gone through a really bad divorce and I was raising 2 little kids by myself, not by myself, but it felt like it. And they encouraged me to go ahead and they helped me edit it down to where I could share about it. But part of that story was that I really hit a wall about 4.5 years into my divorce. of absolute depression. I mean, utter depression. And I was on the road doing a huge tour, the Young Messiah tour, which I really loved, with a lot of other Christian artists in these arenas, like 18,000 people a night. And I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I was crying all the time. I got really good at just like letting the tears pool up in my eyes. And then I would lean over and I'd blink really hard and they'd fall down. And then I'd throw my head back up and just kind of,
Mm.
and I didn't know what was happening to me, Kim. I didn't know anything about depression. It was a clinical depression. And I didn't, and all I knew was I could barely, by the end of that tour, could barely function. I was just a puddle. And I got home and talked to my pastor. He was brilliantly wise, Scotty Smith. He said, I want you to talk to your doctor, your physical doctor, and I want you to get some therapy because I think you need to really look at everything in your life right now because you're really in a dark place. And God doesn't want you there, but there are things you can do to get out of that. And now Harvest House, you know, I'd written two books and they said you really need to write about depression. Like you just said, you're proud of me. I did not want to write that book. I did not want to talk about it. And it's a pretty thin little book. But it's helped so many people to just hear my story, to look at hope for themselves, because I began to heal like just a little bit at a time through a doctor, through my pastor. I always talk about it's like emotionally, spiritually, physically. I had to get stronger. I had to start eating better. I mean, I lost so much weight. I looked really, really bad. I've thrown all my pictures away from that time because it's really disturbing to think of just how gaunt I was. And
Mm.
there was so much loss and I'd been kind of barreling through. I can get through it. And all of a sudden I was like, I can't do this. So
Yeah.
I think there's so many people that go through that and they're listening right now and you feel ashamed. And you think, if I really had enough faith, then why am I feeling this despair? But Christ was a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. So many times in the Bible, Jesus just burst into tears because he understood the brokenness of this world and he came to die for it. But I think he really saw what we struggle with. And there's so many people in the word that were depressed. And I think that's started to comfort me. It was like, okay. But little by little, I began to get out of that darkness. I've never gone into that. I've had a couple of dips, but nothing like that since then. But I really have a lot of sympathy for people that struggle with depression, especially people of faith who feel really guilty about it because it's nothing to feel guilty about. You can get through it. You can learn to manage it. But it's the human condition, really. I think we were not wired for losses like we see cancer, child abuse, like all the things, divorces. We weren't wired for that. And at some point, some of you can just shut down.
Mm.
So that's you're really kind to bring up that book. It's been something I'm actually really grateful that God still uses. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's incredible. And
Thank you.
there's so many people who can't even put a word, a name to what it is they're feeling, right?
Yeah. It's
And
dark.
so,
Yeah.
right. And the way you describe depression, then people can see themselves in it and go, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's how I feel. That's what I'm going through. That's what's happening
Yeah.
to me.
And I mean, I have people ask me about that book they're either living with somebody that's depressed and need to understand it more, or it's for you, it's for the caregiver, it's for the person that's going through it. And there's just so much hope and there's so much assistance to be had, but stuffing it down and pretending like it doesn't exist, that's the worst thing you could do. So I'm hoping it'll just be a bit of a lifeline for people that find that book.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Thank
And
you.
yeah. So yeah, thank you for putting it out there because
You're
I
welcome.
who
Thank you,
knows
Harvest House.
thank you, Harvest House.
Yeah,
But who knows how
yeah,
many lives you've touched? I mean,
I
that's
hope
great
so.
and so needed. And
Thank
and
you.
you're famous. And so when somebody who stands up on stage in front of 18,000 people, when they're saying, "Hey, this happened to me," then
Right.
someone who's waiting tables or working
Right.
a lawyer, whatever, they can say, wow, if she can talk about it, I can talk about
Yeah.
it. She
I
can,
mean, I hope I don't overshare, but I'm a big believer that I'm the same person on the platform and off. And if you talk to me about my life or my faith, I'm going to have to tell you the underbelly
yeah,
of what, because all of us, you don't live through life without going through stuff. So it
right.
depends on what we do with it. And yeah, and all of a sudden I look at other people being encouraged by what I've been through, and then they can use that. And then I look at them and I can benefit from them. So I think that's a great way we give back to each other. And as a writer, you know what that feels like when something you've written really resonates with people. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's a gift.
it is. Yeah, thank you. It is. So thank you for that. Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
I'd love for you
Absolutely.
to talk about your new album.
Yes.
Yay.
I like all of us going through COVID, my goodness, I I thought, probably my public ministry will never be what it was again. Or I just didn't think I would ever record again. I didn't think I'd ever write another project. I have three solo projects. This is my fourth one. And I just felt a lot of heaviness. And in that time, in God's great mercy, a keyboard player who's an incredible arranger and orchestrator and a lifelong friend. He and I were on Russ Tapp's band together, Larry Hall. He and his wife Susan came to me, and he and I work in a band that's like an Eagles cover band here in town, tribute band that we do Eagles Henley music, and everybody in the band are incredible musicians that have all known each other in Nashville for years. And it's so much fun because when we get together and do the show, it's just so much fun, but we're all believers. So Larry and I would see each other at the Eagles tribute band. And one night he said to me in 2021, he said, Susan and I have been talking. It's time for you to do another album. And I want to do it for you. I want to do it. And I was blown away because in my mind, I thought if I ever did another project, I'd like to work with Larry. But he didn't know that. And they both said, let's just start. Let's just start working on it. Do the songs you haven't recorded before that maybe you've written and wanted to. What are things you'd like to try that you haven't done? So they kind of gave me permission to start dreaming about that. And we started that project. And Susan had a very aggressive cancer about a year and a half ago and took her very quickly. But she was her face is I dedicated my project to her because she would come in the studio where we would work and she would just sit in front of me and look in my eyes and go, oh, that's it. This one. And she just amazing. So Larry and I started working and it took us a while, Kim. I mean, it took us about 2 years to do this project, but we didn't, and Larry kept saying, we won't be finished with it until we're ready. And when we're ready, we will be. So there are 8 new songs that I've written on it. There are 4 cover songs that really meant a lot to me and one to Susan. And it's self-titled and it really is, it has a lot of what my heart is passionate about in our culture right now. I have a song called Cry Like a Bell, which is about sex trafficking of little children because I want to raise awareness in the church at large for talking about this so we can be part of solving it or trying to. And I didn't realize how prevalent sex trafficking was until the last few years, And I thought, I want to write a song about that. I want us to cry like a bell into the night and to pray for these children until they're free. So uh, there's some songs I'm really, really outspoken and passionate about. One of my favorite, the very last song is Gethsemane Brave. And I've been just intrigued for a long time about Gethsemane and how Jesus 3 times asked God, is there any other way? Is there any other way but this? But if not, let your will be done, not mine, but your will. And I know that that is an incredible gift. I mean, his dying for us and rising for us. He just says to us, take up your cross. I didn't have that cross, but can I look at my life and go, okay, do I have to drink that cup? Is that really? I don't want to. But how can I say to God, okay, I'm willing to suffer. I'm willing to go through something that's uncomfortable. I'm willing to be misunderstood for my faith. I'm willing to put myself out there more than ever on social media, even and to say, this is the truth. Jesus is the way. Like, I think I want to call all of us to be more willing to both rejoice in the Lord, but to suffer. Because there's something holy about suffering that connects you to Christ. So, I mean, that song, and then it took me forever. I'm not a fast writer. That song I wanted to be exactly the way it finally ended up being. It's like a rock ballad a little bit. And then Bill Keggy ended up playing guitar on that song. And he had never played on any of our first call projects or mine. And so I love him and I love Bernadette, his wife. And so having him involved was just icing on the cake. And that song is being used by an organization that goes into Nigeria and Sudan and places they help the persecuted church right now. So that's like, I'm like, yes, let's do it. I feel like this part of my life, I want to be more bold than ever. And this album has allowed me that. I'm just talking your ear off, but it's just allowed me to really write more freely and passionately. I think a lot of it too, because of Larry and Susan saying, what do you want to do? One of the songs is a Sting song that I've always loved. I'm a big Sting fan. If I ever lose my faith. Now, the lyrics of that song are fascinating and they're really true. I mean, I think, especially now, more than when he wrote it. But Larry said, what's something really crazy you want to do? I said, I want to do If I Ever Lose My Faith, and I want to sing it a cappella, pretty much a cappella, and I want to sing all the vocals. And he goes, well, that'll never work. He goes, we can't do that. I said, you asked me. So what was funny is about 3.5 weeks later, he's a brilliant arranger. He goes, I think I know how to do this. And it took us 4, 5, 6 hour sessions. I sang all the vocals except for the lowest part, which is the bass. And then the track is amazing. And it was we're both so excited with it, but we're like, what are we doing? Let's just keep doing it. So we just went in there and went for it. But there's some moments like that that I think First Call fans would enjoy because it's very vocally intricate. And then I wrote a song for my grandkids. I've got two little 3 and a 4-year-old grandbabies, and I wanted a song that they would always be able to hear the rest of their lives. Called "God Will Love You When the Sun Goes Down." And I don't know, I just feel like very freed up on this album too. I've always wanted to make a bold statement, but maybe at this point in my life, I feel like in Act 3 in my life, be as bold as I can with my
Mhm.
faith. So yeah, and I didn't really think, what's commercial or what's not. I just went, I like this, I like this. So I've got a lot of different styles on it.
Well, and to have the freedom to do that, that's
Yes,
the gift. That is
yes.
so cool. But I love it, everything that you just said. I love that you wrote a song for your grandkids.
Thank
I love
you.
my grandbabies. I got 11 of them. There's nothing like,
11?
yes, yeah, oh
Your
yeah,
quiver is full, truly. Yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Range from 10 to 20 years
11.
old. Yeah, oh yeah.
That's amazing. That's so wonderful, Kim.
It is. It's so fun. I just love it. And I look at it as the reason I didn't kill my kids is so that I could have grandbabies, right?
Isn't that the truth? Or do you feel like a little bit? I try to describe the feeling. It's like you get a do-over kind of.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Like I
Yeah.
love my kids, but like this, I get one more chance at like a do-over when they're little. And also, I just feel like my heart grew a different place when my grandkids were born that I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
It's
It's
the
so
sweetest
fun.
feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I'm
is.
kissing my phone all the time. I'll look at a picture and I'll just start kissing my phone. I mean, this is
Oh,
crazy.
I know
Yeah,
it's the greatest thing. Like before you have your first baby, people will say,
yeah,
"Oh my gosh, you just wait." And you're like, "I already love the baby. Like, what are you saying?" And then
yes.
when my first one was born, I looked at her and went, "Did my mom love me like this?" Right? Like
I
it's so
know, I
overwhelming.
know.
And then
Yes,
gonna be a grandparent for the first time, and people are saying, just wait." And I'm like, I know, I've got kids. I know what it's gonna be like.
I
Oh
thought the same
my gosh,
thing.
when that baby was born, it was like 10 times having my own kid.
It's just something powerful. I don't know. Do your kids live near you?
I
Are they
have
in that Michigan
two that
area?
live near me and
Okay.
three that live not near me. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Because I think, I get this physical craving, like I just have to get my hands on them,
yeah.
every week or so. Like I told my daughter, she lives in Nashville. I said, if you didn't live here, I'd have to move wherever you were because I just have to chew on a cheek or something, but yeah, it's really precious. And I
Yeah.
want them so much to know the Lord, and I want them so much to just know their faith, for their faith to last through everything. So I wrote that song kind of like with that overview.
Yeah.
God will hold you when you cry, like God will be there no matter what. And I've been fascinated by so many adults that have messaged me about that song. It's really resonating with people. It's a very simple song, but
Yeah.
I'm grateful
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so special, written for such a
Thank
special reason.
you.
I love that.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Gethsemane Brave. Oh my word, what a powerful song that is. So
Thank you.
and just those two words together are powerful. I mean, you don't have to say anything else. And
Oh,
immediately
thank
it's like,
you.
oh my gosh, how can I be that brave? Am I that brave? Would I stand
Yeah.
there and do whatever it is that God is asking me to do? Would I be that brave? And yeah, I want
Yeah.
to be. I want to
Me
be out.
too. I want to be. It's my hope that I will be. It's like that call to myself and anybody that hears it, to be willing, because I think, especially in America and in Western culture, we talk a lot about our blessings, and we are blessed. but we don't often talk about the what do we do when we really suffer for Christ. And so many people around the world, believers are being persecuted for even owning a Bible. North Korea and CSI will send me liners to do for radio, and I'll read the stories they're sending me, and I'm like, I cannot believe this is happening. But I'm
Mm.
so grateful for their work, and I'm just grateful they wanted to use this song to try to spread that message. Because often too, a lot of us go, how can I be part of an organization that helps the persecuted church and help strengthen myself for that kind of, would I have that kind of faith? I don't know. I had to hide when I went to, read the Bible or something. But yeah, I think when I first started working on the song, I knew I wanted to use that title. And I kind of threw out a couple of things on social media about that idea. And immediately people were jumping on the title, like what you just said. So I went, yeah, that's the title. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's saying what I want. And then I thought, I don't want it to be a ballad. I don't want it to be a suffering, but like I want it to be driving. And then, the track is so good. And Phil said, I hear these guitars. I said, put as many on there as you want to. And yeah, it really worked out well. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's powerful. It is powerful.
Thank
And
you.
the organization that you're helping is doing incredible things. And I
Yes,
gotta
they
tell
are.
you, I was looking at numbers. I was looking at a
Uh-huh.
chart and numbers of how many people have died just this year, whatever, how many people have been their houses taken away, or they've been displaced, they've been robbed, they've been whatever, persecuted in all kinds of bad, horrible ways. And there was like number one of this, number one of killings, number one of building attacks, number one country and this and
Yeah.
that. And one of the number ones was Mexico.
Oh, I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
did not know that.
isn't that surprising?
Right to the south of us. Yeah. I did
Yeah,
not know that. Because
yep,
Nigeria is definitely getting a lot of press right now. Like last week, 172 more people were kidnapped out of a church service in Nigeria. But I did not know that about Mexico.
yes, and that's
Yeah.
something. And they're number one in abduction and
Wow.
assaults. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
I know. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I,
there's so much to pray for and so much to help people. There's so much help needed. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you for letting me know that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love traveling to places in the world where religion isn't an issue.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like one of the places I found that is mostly Muslim, but I loved the country and never felt anything but very welcome was Jordan.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I've
Just
never
kind of,
been to Jordan. I've been to Israel twice, but I've never been to Jordan.
yeah. I mean, Israel has
Yeah.
plenty of stuff going on,
Right.
but in Jordan, yeah, they kind of stay out of it. They're just peaceful,
Interesting.
live in
Kind of
love.
more
Yeah.
peaceful. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Good for them. Yeah. I don't see how long they can do that. It's like,
yeah. Well,
the
and
Middle
where they're
East is so
located, I mean, they're located in the middle of
right there.
a
They
hurricane,
sure
right?
are.
Yeah.
They sure are. It's
It's a great,
wild.
beautiful, wonderful country, wonderful people.
Yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
would love to go there.
But I
Yeah.
was also on that very same trip, I went to Egypt and I went to where the Coptic Christians were massacred.
Yes.
And oh my gosh, oh yeah, no, I bawled like a baby and my
I
heart
bet.
felt like it came out of my chest. And so,
Yeah.
such opposite, right? And to think that just because you believe in God, that you're going to be persecuted, just because you believe in Jesus, you have a chance of being murdered. Or if anybody finds
If you
out
own a Bible, they have to smuggle Bibles into so many places and if they're found with one, they can be killed. I
yeah,
mean, I don't relate to that. I've lived my life in the States, I've traveled a bit, but I can't imagine living under that kind of fear or maybe you start to be fearless. I don't know.
yeah,
I pray with a prayer group every Tuesday night. We meet for 1 hour around this table. Different people come in and out. And we literally open our Bible and we just start praying for whatever's on our heart, speaking the word. And then we have communion at the very end. We pray for the persecuted church every week. And we just start naming the places we've heard about in the news that week. And it's very sobering to think, but we just ask God to give them what they need. And I know CSI is doing that a lot of places. or to bring legal help. They bring legal help in to help get people out of jail. They buy slaves out of slavery. Like you can buy people's freedom, which is sounds crazy. But in the Sudan, especially, they will barter with organizations that want to get people out of slavery, and they will, for a certain amount of money, they'll free somebody. So it's like you can actually buy somebody's freedom for like $300. It's
Oh
just
my
it
God.
sounds really awful, but it's actually really good because
Yeah.
they're on the ground helping these people do that. But it's so out of my experience to even imagine living under that kind of pall, you know.
Right.
But yeah, but I mean, I want to be willing to. I want to be willing, you know,
Mhm.
to suffer well for him, for Christ, and
Yeah.
whatever that looks like in this season and time in the States. I think we've got to stand up more. Church needs to rise up gently and powerfully more to speak out against, you know, I don't like drag queen story hour. I don't like the trans surgeries. I think that there's real heartache and sadness and brokenness in destroying the imago image of God on a child. But I think we have to be speaking about these things somewhat. Because I mean, I think Paul in Mars Hill, Acts 17, he went into the marketplace and he spoke to everybody. He didn't just speak to the Jews or the Christians, like he spoke to everybody. And I want to be willing to do that in social media or whatever I'm called to do that in our time. I don't think there's any way for me to divorce myself from this is my Christian life. This is my not. It's like it's life. So I
Mhm.
don't know. That's part of that's part of my passion is like I want us to speak out more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
It's interesting, right, that you're saying that because I feel like little by little, maybe people are
I think so.
kind of been hiding their faith and now are like, no,
Yes.
oh no, this is who I am. This is my reality and I'm going to share it all if I'm going to share it. And
Yeah. I mean, and I think the world wants to know truth. You know, and people want to hear. You know, not a violent conversation, but a spirited conversation about some of these issues, what we each feel about them. And I think that the danger is in not speaking out, you know, and just acting like it's not really happening when there are definite agendas going on to indoctrinate our children into different things that are not godly. So how are they gonna know if we don't speak out and bring that to them?
right.
So I guess I'm kind of going to be obnoxious about that, but yeah,
Well, yeah, I think anybody should be able to voice what they believe.
I
You're
do
allowed
too.
to believe how you believe. You know,
Absolutely.
in the
Free
Christian church,
will is a beautiful gift. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. I mean,
yeah,
even within the Christian church, there are different religions that believe this and different, somebody else believes that and whatever. It's
yeah,
like, okay, that's okay. Believe what
yes,
you believe. That's all right. We should be able to have conversation about it. We should be able to
yeah,
talk about
yeah.
whatever it is.
You know, respectfully with each other. Absolutely. I agree with you completely about that. I think
Yeah.
what I've been wanting to see more of is having that conversation in the marketplace, you know, so. But I'm sorry, that's my something dinging on my end. I'm sorry. Are you
Oh,
hearing
I'm
that?
not even hearing it.
Oh,
No,
okay, good. I'm so
you're good.
sorry.
No, my dog was barking like crazy just a
No,
few
that's
minutes
fine.
ago.
I
And I'm
loved
going,
hearing your
my
dog
God.
bark. No, I
Yeah.
loved that.
Yeah. But yeah, so it is an interesting time, I think. And I did this thing, sort of a eat, pray, love kind of a journey. I
Yeah.
had to know the true meaning of love. And
Oh,
so my husband had passed away and I was
oh, I'm
47 years old,
sorry.
single and going, oh,
Oh,
what does life even mean? And so I was in Haiti most of the time I was working on it. I used First
oh
Corinthians
my
13, love is
goodness.
patient, love is kind, etc. And I took one
Yes, the First
great
Corinthians.
month.
The Corinthians.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the first
Oh,
month
what a.
I just focused on love is patient and figured out what that was. And then
Oh.
love is kind. And the things that I discovered about love just blew my mind and changed my life
Mm,
and rocked my world. And I
mm.
discovered so many of the things that we're taught about love are not love. Things done or said in the name of love that have nothing at all to do with love. And if everybody understood what love is, then man, we'd be in a whole different place if everybody
That's so
understood.
good, Kim. That's so, so good. I mean, I think love cares enough to speak truth, you know, gently, kindly, but Jesus didn't leave anybody in sin without addressing it or saying there's another way. Or, I mean, he was always healing, but Jesus was very bold. He was also met people where they were, but I think that there's a tendency in the a lot of Christian speak is don't ruffle anybody's feathers. But if I'm called to somebody's life that I'm really accountable to and they're accountable to me, then I have to ask hard questions sometimes. And it's uncomfortable sometimes, and that's okay. Yeah. I mean, love is gentle and kind, but it also speaks truth. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the difference is judgment. You know, you
Yeah. That's
don't
really good. That's
judge,
really true.
right? You leave
That's
judgment out.
God's.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. It's
That's
not our
God.
job. Our job is
Yeah.
to, so yeah. So of course the Holy
Absolutely.
Spirit is you
What a
want to,
wonderful thing to sit with each one of those scriptures. That's such a beautiful chapter. And especially in that time in your life when you'd lost your husband and you're in
yeah,
Haiti.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Because
What,
as it happened, I wasn't sure what I was going to do after my husband
I
passed away.
bet.
And so I started as a part-time bookkeeper at an organization that my dad and I had started 10 years before. And January 1st of that year, and 12 days later, there was an earthquake in Haiti that killed 200,000 people.
Was that the big quake? Oh
Yeah.
my
So
goodness.
then I was in Haiti within a couple weeks, and then I was in Haiti for a long time after, at least part
Oh
of every
my goodness.
3 years.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing.
But one
Yeah.
of the things that I found out that nobody ever told me is service is such a great healer of grief.
Oh. It gets you outside of your own grief, right?
Exactly.
It gives you
Exactly.
focus on being productive in somebody else's life. That
Mhm.
makes sense. That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Service is a healer of grief. I love that.
Yeah.
I
So
love that.
it was good that I could go, that I had that flexibility. And
Yeah.
the reality is I wouldn't have had my husband been there. It's like if I had a choice, I'd have my husband,
Yeah.
but I didn't have
Of
a choice.
course. Of course. But the mystery of how God uses a circumstance or a loss or a grief or he can use it. Like, and that's the thing I don't think we're going to understand until this, we're on the other side.
Mhm.
You know, obviously God hates death and hated, what happened to your husband, but he's like, well, I can take Kim's heart. Look what I can do with this here.
Mhm.
And I just want to applaud you too for actually sitting in the word when you could have become bitter or made some other choices. It sounds like you really you were Gethsemane brave. You're like, okay, I'm suffering, but I'm going to take this to God and ask him what I do with it. That's really huge.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
thanks. It was a journey. It was
I
a
bet
journey.
it was.
Yeah. Yeah. I was chased by a motorcycle gang. I slept
Oh,
outside
I
with
know.
tarantulas and snakes. I mean, it's crazy.
I'm like blown away that you were there that long. We did a song, we recorded a first call song on one of our projects using an actual church from Haiti in the background called Poverty. That's not poverty because they were so full of the Lord. But I mean, what a battlefield it is there. So much voodoo and so many spiritual things that are warring against each other. God bless you for pouring yourself out there.
Yeah, well, I always think of it as
Beautiful people.
a really tough country with really wonderful people. Going back to what you were talking about earlier, that we're not persecuted like other
Right.
countries for being Christians. Well, I'm so grateful to have been born in the United States of America.
Me
I've
too.
got food in my refrigerator and a roof,
That's right.
right? And I have health care. I have all
Mhm.
kinds of things, I have clean water. I can drink
Antibiotics.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
fear getting worms. I've never gotten worms. Like,
No, and it's dangerous to be there. I mean, I've got a good friend who's been a doctor, a dentist there in different areas off and on for 18 years, and they just had to leave for one of the last times a few years ago because they can't. It's so unsafe.
right.
But he loves the people there, and they love him. Like they want to go back, but they can't go back right now. But
Mhm.
I'm sure you have a great passion for those people, and you see the beauty of what God is doing there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh, for
yeah,
sure, sure. Yeah, yeah. But I haven't been back in a few years either. But I work in the Dominican
yeah.
Republic too, so right on the other side
Oh,
of
the
the.
DR, awesome,
Yeah, yeah. So we're
awesome.
able to help through the DR because we can
And
drive stuff.
yes, you are right there. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's all. That must feel really great. Yeah,
yeah. Well, I'm glad we can still do something, still
yes.
be helping in Haiti for sure.
And you're right. That really does give you, all of us a purpose. If we look outside of ourselves and go, what can I pour into that takes my eyes off me? Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
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 It's good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good point, Kim. Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, so it is amazing the
Hmm.
opportunities if you just keep your eyes
They're
open.
there. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
There's
this,
so many there's so many organizations and places that need Christians to pour into. Yeah, they're just endless.
yes, yeah, for sure, for sure. Whatever you're passionate about, you can find an organization that's doing that, and you can
Sure
join.
can.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it's the
Absolutely.
Persecuted Church, CSI. What a great organization!
Absolutely. CSIUSA.org. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
And then like Tim Tebow, there are lots of organizations. Our Rescue is one, OUR Rescue, that work with trafficking children, trying to get them out. They go and they get them out of these places. And there's some really brave organizations out there. Victor Marx has one that they go into these really difficult countries and they rescue children out of sex trafficking. It's happening more than I had known, you know, worldwide. And
Mm-hmm.
the US is unfortunately part of that industry in a huge way. So Nashville has a new organization called the Nashville Anti-Human Trafficking Association here in Nashville that's been maybe 2019 they opened their doors. They help people get off the street. They give them a new life. They give them a place to learn how to build dignity again and heal. And it's just there's endless resources of places out there to help. Yeah, in so many ways.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and to be the hands and feet of Christ in so many places. So I'm so impressed with your work, Kim. That's just wonderful.
Oh, I'm so impressed with your work, Bonnie. Should I call you Julie Rose?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah,
Julie Rose. That's my publishing company now. It's so funny. I thought I'll name that my publishing company
there you
after
go.
Julie Rose. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, if we all did something, if everybody did something,
yeah.
things would be different,
I
right?
really
Like
do. Yeah,
I think
yeah,
too often people think there's not something they could do. Like, oh my
yeah.
gosh, it's such a
It
big
feels too
problem.
big.
Right.
Yeah,
Do
it feels too
something.
big. Just yeah, just start looking around where you live and just start looking around here and there. And yeah, my pastor often says, you know, there a lot of us feel like we come to Christ and we've been radically saved and we check that box. Then we sit in church in our seat every week and that's we're done. And he goes, no, 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 we're not done. That's actually we're just beginning. So wherever you are, whatever age you are, wherever you are economically, whatever it looks like, there's always a place you can pour into. That's going to be healing for you and healing for the world, really. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love being able to just say that with this new project more than ever. Yeah.
So good. That's so good. I'm
Thank
glad you're
you.
part of it. Because yeah,
Thank you.
it's a huge issue. It's a way bigger
Oh,
issue than we know.
I
And
had no idea. Yeah.
slavery, for goodness sake. I mean,
It's still going
it's
on.
on. Oh
It's
yeah. And so
they're
many,
buying people and they're keeping them as slaves until somebody buys them out of it or rescues them. And you
yeah.
think that that's gone at this point, even 2026, but it isn't.
No,
Yeah.
it's yes, and I think we have this they us
Yeah.
mentality.
Yeah.
Well, they whatever,
Right.
they belong to that club, so they're dumb, and but we're the smart ones because we belong to this club or whatever.
That's good.
We
Yes.
have to
Yes.
weigh those labels and realize, like, the people that are enslaved, God loves them just as much as He loves us, and they were created in His image, just like I'm created in His.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Slavery is slavery wherever you find it. And setting people free physically and emotionally and spiritually into whatever is setting them free. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think too, you think about people being enslaved and you think, man, some of the stuff our country fights about, some of the stuff people fight about is so
Isn't
petty,
that the truth? Isn't
right?
it the truth? It's
Yeah.
petty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's be real about what's really happening, what's really suffering. You know, people who is really suffering. Yeah.
Mhm.
Very good. Brings
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So your album, where can people get it? Where can people find it?
It's on all the streaming platforms, you know, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, all those iTunes. And then I have a little website if you wanted a physical CD that I will send you. But it's really pretty easy to find. It's just called Bonnie Keene. And Larry wanted me to name it, self-title it. And I said, I don't want to self-title. He goes, just look at what that means. And I started looking up self-titled albums are usually done a little bit later in somebody's career, which is true and represent a real passionate heart of what the artist wants to say. So I think all of my albums have been from my heart, but at this point in my life, I've lived a lot of decades with the Lord. I have a lot that I want to bring to a project that's weightier, maybe in some ways. But yeah, but I'm really excited for people to hear it, and I would love to hear from them. So it's easy
Yeah.
to find me.
Absolutely. It is fantastic. Everybody should
Thank you.
be listening to it. It's so good.
Thank
Every
you so
song,
much.
every song is
Thank you.
good.
I'm
Yeah.
thrilled. I'm really thrilled with it. It was worth every moment. It was
Well, and
worth
your
every moment.
heart just
Yeah.
shines through. I mean,
Oh, good.
yeah, your emotions, your love, it just comes right through the speakers.
Good.
So
That's
cool.
wonderful. That's so good to
So
hear.
good.
Thank
So
you for having me on, Kim. This has just been wonderful. I want to talk with you more.
yeah, I know.
I want
I
to
wish
come to
you
Grand Rapids and go out to dinner. Yeah.
yeah, let's do it. I would love it.
I
Yeah, well,
would love
thank
it
you
too.
so much. I so appreciate you and everything that you do. And I so appreciate you taking the time for this today. Thank you. Thank
It's
you.
my honor. Absolutely my honor. God bless all that you're doing and pouring yourself into, and all of your listeners. We got to just hang on to each other and hang on to Christ and do the
Mhm.
most we can at this point in history. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So thanks again for being here. And thank you,
Thank you.
everybody, for being with us. You probably know somebody who would love to listen to what you just heard. So please pass this episode along
Mm,
to whoever that is, the masses. Anybody would get something out of this, I'm sure. And pray for people because holy cow,
yes.
people go through stuff that we
Mm,
is so
mm,
unimaginable. And I just
mhm.
pray that until we see each other again, that you keep your heart open and you live your love loud.